Welcome back and thank you for staying tuned. You're still watching Newspaper Review on High Impact Television, and Kromale and I are still here to review the dailies and to talk about the stories trending on the front pages. The last paper we'll be taking a look at this morning is the Daily Trust newspaper. Kromale, you have the Daily Trust newspaper.
On the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, why local rice price continues to rise, says millers and farmers. They gave reasons for that. There are 4 riders to that story. It says, blame corruption, inadequate paddy supply and poor irrigation. Seeks subsidy from the federal government. When the federal government is removing subsidy, you're asking for one. Tinubu must wade in, says citizens. And we supported 4.57 million farmers. That's coming from the Central Bank of Nigeria. We move on to other stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chair, advocates regional counter-terrorism. Again, Tinubu emerges Economic Community of West African States chairman, advocates regional counter-terrorism. 15 bodies recovered, 78 houses burnt in Plateau. That's coming from Macban. 15 bodies recovered, 78 houses burnt in Plateau State. Beneath that story, we can see Sokoto butcher killed by Amotekun in Oyo. Sokoto butcher killed by Amotekun in Oyo State. That story, it's on page 30. I think so. On the Daily Trust newspaper. And of course, we can see the picture representation of government officials right there. Femi Otedola with the chief executive of Lagos State and the president of African Development Bank, first of all. Then we see other stories. Those are the stories making the rounds on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
Interesting. There's this story on the Punch newspaper that has to do with fuel consumption. I think we should just look into it. We know that since they removed the subsidy on fuel, a lot of people have tried to look for alternatives to fuel. And there's this headline that says, monthly fuel consumption drops by 18.5 million liters after deregulation. That's coming from the federal government. And the volume of the premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, that was consumed across the country in the first half of 2023 is 11.26 billion liters, according to the federal government. It was, however, observed that after the removal of subsidy on petrol, following the pronouncement by President Bola Tinubu on the 29th of May 2023, PMS consumption reduced by an average of about 18.5 million liters daily in June. A lot of people have tried to look for alternatives. And then it is commendable to say, I can't speak for other parts, but in Lagos, for most people that I know, they are talking about how the electricity distribution companies have improved in their power supply, and I can actually testify to that because the rate at which we have lights these days is very impressive.
How long is it?
So on a rough estimate, out of 24 hours, on a very rough estimate, if I'm being honest, we have light for about 21 hours a day.
21 hours.
Yes.
I
it has reduced
the people who sing the praise of the electricity
this
distribution
is coming as they're
companies.
planning to increase the tariff
because unless we have power for 24 hours consistently in that period for 3 months, then we can start talking about improvement, because there is no improvement. There is no improvement.
Drops of water make a mighty ocean. Isn't it a gradual process? Shouldn't we commend them for the fact that they have made this move and we can see the improvement? A lot of people are actually commending them that, power supply has gotten
I'm not
better.
commending you.
Okay, maybe we need to change your location, Kromale.
No, I'm not commending you. And until we see the improvement reflect in economic activities, we see the improvement reflect in companies and manufacturing outfits that employ people, and we can see that SMEs are functioning and working efficiently because they have power to work with. And until we see that, I will not join the the bandwagon to commend
We hope that it would
NEPA or
actually
the
get
power
to
holding
that
company.
point where we'll feel the effect on other parts. But then we'll take a breather with our conversation now as our guest, the person of Ore Moshood, a legal practitioner, joins us via Zoom this morning to have a conversation on some of the headlines making the rounds on the front pages of the newspaper. Good morning, Ore Moshood. Thank you for joining us on the newspaper review.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the
Are you
program
there?
this morning.
Okay, we have difficulties hearing Ore Moshood this morning. I think we'd have to put a call through to him again and have him join us
Exactly.
to continue the conversation. But I don't know if it's a good thing about this 18.5 million liters. I think speaking with an expert in this field will make us understand what this actually stands for. And let's also recall that sometime last week or last 2 weeks, there was a conversation about how about 400 billion naira has been saved since the subsidy was removed. So is this a move in the right direction? Only experts can tell us. But we have Ore Moshood back on the line this morning. Good morning, Ore Moshood. Thank you for joining us on the newspaper review.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on the program this morning.
It's a delight.
Very much welcome.
Happy New Week.
Thank you. I wish you the same.
Right, let's delve straight into the business of the day. You know, one of the conversations trending on the dailies is the ministerial list, as 5 ex-governors and technocrats lead Tinubu's 42-man cabinet. You know, a lot of people have been waiting for the president to release the ministerial list so that it would head to Senate for approval. What is your take on the fact that after about 40 days in office, the president is yet to release the list? And we know there's a time frame of about 60 days for the list to be released for approval.
This is an interesting topic for a discussion this morning. You recall that from the moment the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn in as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the 29th of May, 2023, we had received assurance that the president was going to form his cabinet within 30 days. I remember quite vividly that the president's spokesperson, Mr. Alaki, had said that it shouldn't take more than 30 days for a serious government to form its cabinet.
Okay.
Now it's over 40 days. The president is yet to form his cabinet. We understand the intrigues, we understand the permutations, we understand the dynamics involved in the formation of cabinet of any government. Of course, the president is facing a lot of back and forth, you know, which I have arisen from the fact that his election is being contested as we speak at the Court of Appeal, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. And the president is also faced with the challenge of forming a government of national cohesion, a government that is going to be acceptable to all the groups in Nigeria. Because some groups in Nigeria complain of marginalization, complain of being sidelined in the area of governance in Nigeria. The president is looking into this so that at the end of the day, when the cabinet is formed, every part of Nigeria is involved in the task of nation building. And of course, for this to happen, the president must do a lot of consultations. The president, by virtue of the amended Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has 60 days within which to form his cabinet. Now the president has less than 20 days to do this. Otherwise, he will be deemed to have run far of the clear provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the president must act within the ambit of the law. So we understand the challenges the president is facing. But of course, notwithstanding the challenges, as the president of the good people of Federal Republic of Nigeria, he must act in the best interest of all. The party affiliations and whatever considerations that may have been responsible for this delay. Of course, the president, I believe, is looking into it. We have seen a number of lists being circulated on social media of about ex-governors being part of those considered for ministerial appointment. Mm-hmm. We will not be surprised if we find the ministerial list being comprised of even politicians who are not members of the APC. Mm. I will not be surprised if, for example, Nyesom Wike makes a list of ministerial nominees, because the contributions of some of these people towards the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu cannot be overlooked, cannot be overemphasized. They have worked against the interests of their own party. They have assisted in a way the opposition in becoming the president of Nigeria against the interests of their own party. I think the president will do a lot within his power to ensure that the party becomes stronger, and this can only happen when the president brings in people.
Okay, Barrister Remo Shute, can I interrupt you? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes, I like the fact that you are trying to expand on it, but permit me, if you see me from the prism of being somewhat pessimistic this morning, and I'm going to take it from another perspective. Mm-hmm. When we talk about political parties, they are the foundation and the bedrock of democracy in any nation. Nigeria is not an exception to that. And one of the reasons why the Nigerian political space is not performing, or it's performing below the expectation of the Nigerian citizens, is because of cross-carpeting in politics. Even if cross-carpeting will be done, it should be done decently, and it should not be done incessantly. Looking at when we had the inference that we are all inferring that Wike might make the cabinet of the current chief executive, do you see that as consolidating Nigerian democracy or depleting it?
I am not a politician, but as a follower of political trends in Nigeria, whatever it will cost us to survive the hardship that we are going through as a people on the surface of this earth, we should welcome it. Forget about principles, forget about ideologies written in black and white somewhere in some published materials.
But these ideologies are responsible for what made a governance the way it is in other climes in the United States and the UK, in Canada. These ideologies are the bedrock of those climes and their governance over there. And of course, when we talk about the Japa syndrome, that's the reason why Africans and Nigerians are running over there, because they have a better climb. And this, the efficiency of that particular climb can be attached to these ideologies. Why can't we adopt same?
Well, I may disagree with you, and I may partly agree with you. We have also received reports from Nigerians who are Nigerian diaspora saying that it was a great mistake leaving the shores of this country for whatever they may have gone to, US, UK. You see, we may not, if we take on this topic, we may never agree on one particular issue. But what we must consider to the fact that whatever it will cost us as Nigerians to move this nation forward, we should accommodate it. It does not matter which party is an end of affair. It does not matter whether the people involved with the governance of this country are of the same political affiliation or the other.
Okay.
Are you there?
All right. Yes, please. You know, the Constitution states it that whilst the president is forming his cabinet, each of these ministers...
What they have at the back of our mind.
I think we lost him for a bit.
Please go on.
So Nigeria is a project that must be at the back of our mind when we understand.
So we seem to be having some sort of network glitch.
Okay, we are having some...
Okay. Should we, in deciding whether or not the country...
I think
Oh,
that
so
would
sorry,
have
Barrister
to,
Remo. Should
yeah.
we seem to be okay? I think we might want to join. You might want to join us later, depending on the way it is. The network is
Exactly.
not really smiling this morning. Now, I was
We
going to.
must have another where the president picks his ministerial nominee, or where he may have gone to pick whoever is going to work with him as a member of his cabinet. What matters to us is being able to deliver.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Sorry, Barrister Remo should. Sorry, once again. Let me come in here. The Constitution says that each minister or president informing his cabinet must pick each minister from each state, 36 states and thereabout. And of course, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory is also there. What does it profit a state if we have a cabinet, if we have a member of that particular state sitting in the cabinet of the president? What does it attract to that state? What benefit politically and government-wise does it attract to that state?
Of course it does. Of course it does, because a minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria who hosts a portfolio has the opportunity to ensure certain projects are attracted to the state he may have come from. He has the opportunity to influence the president in terms of policy directions that will be in the best interest of the state. If a state has no minister, too bad. If a state has no minister, has nobody at the Federal Executive Council to ensure that that state gets what other states are opportune to get in terms of federal government project, in terms of projects that will change the lives of his own people. Do you know that some state gets will have federal universities in Nigeria today by virtue of having someone at the Federal Executive Council? If for some states in Nigeria today were created out of some states because of the presence of some individuals from those states at the Federal Executive level. If you do not have anybody there politically, forget about it. Political advancement is measured by the presence of people from a particular locality or the other. If you do not have, forget about it. Politicians don't think the way ordinary people think. They consider your relevance. They consider what you can bring to the table. At the last elections, don't be surprised that states that were able to deliver substantial figures for APC are likely to be given duly ministerial appointment than others who are just mere APC states without good results at the poll. Politicians factor all of this because it is like a reward system for them. A state that is able to deliver well. For example, Kwara State has done excellently well at the last poll for APC. So what the APC will do is to ensure that that state, in terms of number, does not reduce at the next poll. It's like a consolidation. So it is to encourage them to do more. So what the president may be considering right now that many of us may not be seeing is the fact that it had good results at the River State during the presidential election. The president will want to do everything to ensure that the APC and PDP in River State are together as one family, such that subsequently the APC will continue to have a stronghold in River State and several other states, that may not be, so to say, regarded as APC states. But right now, when we look at River State de facto is an APC state.
Okay.
Right. Barrister Moshood.
De facto. Yes.
Barrister Moshood, before we move on to another headline very briefly, with about less than 18 days to exhaust the time frame of 60 days before submitting to the National Senate for approval. There have been talks and concerns over the delay, stating that in time past, there have been cases in previous administrations where these names or this list was not sent until about 6 months after the president was sworn into office. Now, with the look of things, considering, like you said earlier, the president has some issues that he's dealing with. His election is still being contested in court, among some other things. Do we see a possibility of this towing that part where we do not see the president, making this list or sending this list within the 60 days that has been stipulated according to the Constitution, and it being extended beyond that? And if yes, what is the implication of this?
It will not be a good start for the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to infringe on the provisions of the Constitution. It will not be a good start at all. It was possible at the previous administrations to have waited for 6 months or more before a cabinet was formed. But the Constitution has been amended. And now the president and the governors have 60 days. Not only the president, the governors as well have 60 days. It will be a constitutional breach. Do you know that a constitutional breach is a ground for impeachment for any president? When the president breaches the clear provision of the Constitution, is an impeachable offense. The president, the government that is here to find its root in terms of acceptability, in terms of popular sovereignty, will not have a good start by infringing on the Constitution of Nigeria. The law is very clear. Yes, 60 days. Even the spokesperson to the president has said that a serious government will form his cabinet within 30 days.
Yeah.
Yes, the language has changed now. He's saying that because of the exigencies, because of some permutation, because of some interest, the president is not able to do that. That the buck stopped on his table. He's an executive president. He's been telling us different grammar about trying to justify why there has been delay, in the formation of the cabinet or whatever. The National Assembly was created not too long ago. Yes. Now we have the National Assembly that can deal with the subjects. Now we have the leadership in place, the House of Representatives and the Senate. So there is nothing stopping the president from sending the list to the National Assembly for confirmation, for screening and confirmation.
All right.
It is not going to be a good start for the president to start flouting the law. The law is very, very clear. No excuse whatsoever. It's a clear departure from what we used to have.
Okay, thank you very much, Barrister Moshood. Barrister Moshood, sorry, apologies, I had to interrupt you there. Let me quickly take your attention away a little, given our very limited time. On the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, we see a story which says Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chair, advocates regional counter-terrorism. And beneath that story, we could see 15 bodies recovered, 78 houses burned in Plateau State. That's coming from Macban. In the president's speech, when he was appointed as the chairman of ECOWAS, he said that all countries' heads of state must put heads together to make sure that they deal with the issue of terrorism. And back here at home, we know that we have not completely dealt with our problem. In Benue State, there's been series of killings. In Plateau State, there's been series of killings there, as after the president has been sworn in since May 29. What kind of action would you advise the president to take concerning this? That we don't just preach the word out there, but we are seen to be taking care of our problems at home.
The president, congratulations to him as emerged as the new chairman. What we should take from this is that the president now has more responsibilities than he used to have before. And he is expected to show the other African countries the leadership, that is the kind of leadership that is required to lead other nations in Africa as the new chairman. But it is not enough for the president to tell the other African countries to join hands together to ensure that there is peace and stability in Africa. He has more responsibilities at home. In fact, the responsibility at home is much more, and in fact bigger than the responsibility he is faced with, because each African president has his own responsibility to face at home. Right. So the president should be more concerned about the insecurities in Nigeria, because that seems to have taken the center stage, and everyone is bothered. So the president, of course, whatever he has said at at his inauguration as the chairman of ECOWAS, of course, was to boost the confidence of members that he's capable and fit to lead them. But that should not stop the president from addressing domestic issues pertaining to insecurity of lives and properties in Nigeria. I think charity, they say, begins at home.
Indeed.
We deserve more effective leadership in Nigeria than at ECOWAS level.
Indeed, charity truly begins at home. We hope that we'll see this this change or this attention, you know, in Nigeria before an extension to other African countries. Barrister Ore Moshood, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Newspaper Review and for sharing your thoughts with us on these headlines. Thank you. It's been a delight.
Thank you for having me once again.
Do enjoy the rest of your day.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.